As we continue our Crisis in the Classroom coverage, Fox Illinois is turning our attention to the upcoming consolidated general election on April 1st. School boards across the country have come under scrutiny for different policies and decisions, and Unit 4 is no exception. We're working for you to learn more about the candidates before you head to the polls. Join me in welcoming Anthony Bruno, one of the 11 school board candidates for Unit 4. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Brianna. Happy to be here.
Of course, Tony. So we'll start off with my first question. What inspired you to run for the school board, and what key issues do you plan to prioritize if elected?
I have 3 children. 2 of them are in the district right now. My daughter's going to be starting kindergarten in the fall, and I am a lifelong resident of Champaign. I'm a small business owner, and I have been frustrated and frankly embarrassed by how the school district has been running itself for the last few years. And I've been critical of it, and I've been critical of the board members and the infighting, and I've been critical of the decisions and the communication from the superintendent's office. And I just thought it was time to step up and do something about it.
Okay. And how do you plan to improve communication and transparency between the board, parents, teachers, and students?
Well, I communicate for a living, and I think that making the shift toward transparency can be done overnight. We can immediately start signaling to the community that the era of secrecy and putting the public on a need-to-know basis has ended. And I believe strongly in putting our issues out on the table to be examined and debated in the public light for everybody to see. I think that's how we're going to get the best outcomes and the best solutions to the difficult problems that the school board faces.
Okay, and given the recent controversies surrounding the current school board, what specific steps will you take to restore trust and bring stability to the district?
So one of the frustrating things for me is the damage that has been done to our community and our community's reputation by the adults who hold these very important positions of power acting like petulant children and fighting with each other. So I think we could pick 5 people out of the phone book and put them in those seats, and the school board would immediately start functioning better than it is currently functioning. So I do think part of the experience we're all going to have soon is these 5 new people are going to get along better. I'm just hopeful about that. And once they're in those seats, I think it's really important that they respect each other as equal elected officials and work together toward the common good. It's been the Hatfield and the McCoy problem on the school board recently, and I just don't think that's likely to happen again, but I think it's really important to bring a sense of decorum back to the boardroom and professionalism and respectful communication, and I think that can be done overnight.
And you kind of answered this with that answer, but what is one major issue you believe the current board has mishandled, and how would you approach it differently to ensure a better outcome for the community?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest issue facing the school district right now is the leadership in the superintendent's office. I think that the school boards, really their primary purpose is to create a vision and then hire a leader who can execute on the vision, and hold that leader to account when he or she fails to execute on the board's vision. And I think right now, not only are we suffering from poor vision, because we have a dysfunctional board that can't work together, but they're also failing in their responsibility to hold the one person at the top of the employment food chain to account. The current superintendent has 2,000 employees. It's a big job. And if the school district isn't going the direction that the school board wishes it to go, they need to make a change. And I've stated very publicly that it's my intention to make a change in the superintendent's office.
Okay. And many school districts are dealing with safety issues for both students and teachers. If elected, what do you plan to do to make sure our schools are safe?
This is a huge issue. Safety encompasses a variety of problems. Bullying comes to mind. That is sickness within the system that causes everybody to perform worse than they otherwise would. Students fearing that they might be bullied or suffering the consequences of bullying. is a terrible problem. But it's a problem as old as time, but I think we can do more to address it. We need to punish people who bully others in a way that disincentivizes future bullying. We have to worry about gun violence. A lot of our kids are affected every day with gun violence. And the gun violence we typically think about is the gun violence in the neighborhood, around where kids go home and sleep. But we also, Champaign has got to have a plan and be ready if our community, God forbid, was the subject of a school shooting. It's not talked about enough, but it could happen. No community in America is safe from this scourge. Guns are everywhere, and people bring guns into school sometimes in America. And it happens here more than it happens anywhere else in the world. And we need to be prepared in the event that happened. And I think our local law enforcement does a good job of preparing for stuff like this. But I think that the schools need to be a good partner, continue to be a good partner with law enforcement. But we need to be prepared for that. So bullying, gun violence in the neighborhoods, and gun violence at school.
Okay, and this is my last question. If elected, will you continue to support the anti-racism policy the district put in place?
Yeah, racism is a horrible scourge, and it has to be eradicated to the greatest extent possible. Human beings have been discriminating against each other on the basis of skin color and race probably since the beginning of time. It's a horrible problem, and we have to do more to address it. I'm in full support of measures that are designed to address the continued racism epidemic in our community, and I think we should think very carefully about how we approach it. It is not a simple issue, and I think that we can't treat it as a simple issue. It is a complex issue, and it deserves careful thought and consideration in how we address it.
Okay, well, that was my last question for you. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Brianna.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to watch more videos from Fox, Illinois.